This is Life Transformation Radio. Prepare to engage. Seatbelt activated. Download initiated. Your quantum journey of transformation begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. Hi, I'm Rob Actis, best-selling author of The Law of Action, voice actor, business mindset coach, the podcast whisperer, and Mr. Action himself. Life Transformation Radio is heard in over 90 countries. Thank you for joining us from all around the world. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to Life Transformation Radio for some time, I want to personally thank you. Here at Life Transformation Radio, we are committed to share more about real life, love, the power of positivity, romance, and of course, laughter. We care about helping others find their internal drive and purpose. We celebrate life's challenges and overcoming them. On the show, my guests are amazing people who are forces for good in the world around them and live a life of transformation. My guest today does just that. Today, Dr. Marni Hill Foderaro and I discuss facing life challenges. So if you want to learn how to handle and respond with love, honesty, and compassion so you can move closer to self-actualization, this is the show for you. She is an award-winning and celebrated author, speaker, and educator. She earned her doctorate in education from Northern Illinois University and completed postdoctoral studies at Harvard after a very successful and rewarding 35-year career as a high school special education teacher. With 12 years as a university adjunct graduate school professor, Marni's life was forever changed after experiencing numerous trauma-induced STEs-Spiritually transformative encounters. Marni's 2020 Best Books award-winning spiritual fiction, God Came to My Garage Sale, is prominently endorsed by James Redfield, best-selling author of the Celestine Prophecy. Marni, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Oh, hey, Rob. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So we're just going to dive right into your STEs, spiritually transformative encounters. Please do tell.
I'd be happy to. And believe me, if I didn't experience them myself, I don't think I'd even believe them. But, I was in a very challenging time in my life. I had decided to leave a 27-year marriage. And as a result, lost so much, my home, my assets, my money, even 2 adult children to parental alienation. So I had significant trauma.
Wow.
But I was filled with love and happiness and gratefulness for all the blessings that I had been given. I always have kind of looked at adversity like they were life lessons and part of my journey. So in the midst of, this big transition, I had to have a garage sale. And again, I was just filled with love and thankfulness that I got to live in this beautiful home and raise my children for 2 decades there. And looking back at my home, one of the first experiences was that I was surrounded by a dragonfly, which I thought was pretty neat, but that was no big deal. And even when they were 5, it was no big deal. But within a short period, it was 50 to 100 dragonflies were circling me. And
now, wait, are these live dragonflies? Like
live
real dragonflies?
Real dragonflies.
Wow. I don't think I've seen a dragonfly for so long. I remember when I was a kid and we used to have ponds and I was always fascinated by them. I remember going to Santee Lakes in San Diego and seeing them. So they're pretty magical, dragonflies.
They really are. And, many different cultures, talk about the symbolism of the dragonfly with transformation mainly. In fact, probably after our conversation, you might start seeing dragonflies again. But in this particular situation, I was kind of in a state of awe, but in a state of shock, but just sort of taking it all in. And everything was in slow motion. Like I said, I could actually see the veins of the wings and the iridescent colors. And there were different sizes that I equated to, different generations, like babies and toddlers and teenagers and grandparents. And I just got this feeling that I was surrounded by love and that I was supported even though I was making this big life change. And luckily, about 3/4 of the way through, I started to kind of come out of this trance. And I pulled out my cell phone to videotape 50 to 100 dragonflies circling me. And so I had evidence and proof that this really did happen. It wasn't my mind playing tricks on me or anything like that. And I went on with that and many other experiences that I had to research what I experienced. And turns out it's called a STE, spiritually transformative encounter or experience, which is very much like a near-death experience where someone flatlines and they leave their body and they experience something, but come back with the knowing that they are loved and supported and that there's more to this universe than what we might believe. And so that was part of my, the beginning anyway of these spiritual experiences. And many happened at a garage sale that made me question, what's going on here? I was just filled with wonder and awe, and I was shown things that just felt otherworldly to me.
Okay,
And
so you're at the garage sale. You're having your garage sale. You've gone through major trauma. Your life is transitioning by the second. So were you almost like in a comatose state? Where you just all of a sudden this happened? All of a sudden, like the whole world slowed down. The dragonflies showed up, and you were just connected with these beings. Is that what happened? And then all of a sudden, you felt something, or what happened?
And it's interesting that you would say, am I in a comatose state? So I really wasn't, but I was certainly in some other kind of state, especially when
hyper focused, maybe. Focused
definitely
on the spirit. Okay.
I just was in a state of gratitude. So it was kind of like I was deep within myself and my thoughts, but I was still kind of going through the motions of what I needed to do at this garage sale. And so it was almost like I was kind of being shown some signs and synchronicities that at some point I thought, boy, is this a coincidence that this is happening at this time? And there were many different things that included finding feathers and pennies and hearing certain songs on the radio, or having some people that actually came to the garage sale where I don't remember them physically coming, walking up the driveway or leaving. Or, I remember some interactions with them, but they were really of a divine nature. And then it just kind of opened me up to being aware that there might be something more going on here. And I had other experiences that weren't actually at the garage sale, but around that same time where, a loved one came through electronics or,
Wait. I got here. Okay. So first of all, I think it's cool with the dragonflies. And we've had a lot of conversations on this show about that we're not alone, that we actually have a team behind us. And when you really realize you have a team, the universe behind us, it really makes for a more peaceful life. So when you say that you had relatives appear through electronics, I'm very curious as to what you mean by that, because I can think what I think, but I don't know. So I'm just curious.
Right. Well, actually, it was a loved one. This one particular situation that was pretty close to the same garage sale time. I was looking at a television set and I saw this infomercial that really grabbed my attention for so many reasons, that I was paying attention to this. A very close girlfriend had just passed away. And I was going through her, personal belongings with her family, just trying to help them out. And I remember at one point just going through some beauty products, this very expensive Dr. Perricone cream. And I remember actually even opening up the cream and putting it on my face, and I kind of felt closer to my friend. But then I also kind of felt guilty, like, what am I doing? She's passed away and I'm opening up her very special cream. But that was the infomercial that got my attention because I had just, gone through
Right.
her belongings and saw this cream. And so I was mesmerized at this television set. And this happened at a nail salon when really it in real time would only have been 5-10 at the most minutes. But I felt that I was watching that television set for hours and even days. That's what it felt like to me. Like time stood still in so many ways and everything was in kind of slow motion. And then after a while, what seemed to me to be hours, the image on the television screen changed from that infomercial to this town of Petersburg, Illinois. And that is where my girlfriend was from. And I had never seen her town, and we had plans for me to go visit. But there was this kind of infomercial that seemed to go on for hours and hours and hours about her town. There was actually an aerial view of the main street of her town. And I had never seen it before. And at some point there was this really elderly woman sitting in the back of an ambulance. And I was thinking, why would she be on this infomercial about this town? And, it was later on when I went back to my friend's family to continue helping, going through her belongings, I saw a photograph of that lady that I saw on that television set. And I'm like, who is this person? I saw this photo and, I didn't go into it in detail because it sounds crazy. How would you see this old woman on this television? But they said, oh no, that's her best friend, from her hometown. Her name's Maida. And then I went to go look at what her town looked like. I just did a general search and I saw exactly what I saw on that television set. So it was almost like my friend was coming through the electronics to kind of show me her hometown, something kind of to give me closure to something we had started. And I've actually done a lot of research on, how people can connect with you from the other side. And electronics is definitely one way. It's not just lights flickering on and off at a command. It could be something like this. And so that is just one of the many experiences that I had that did give me the reassurance that there was a team in the universe, supporting me during this time.
I've never heard of anything like that before. I mean, I've heard of spiritual encounters. They're very minor, like a light go off and stuff like that. But that's fascinating that so do you think you were sleeping or were you actually watching TV and then that appeared?
I think I was watching. I was at that nail salon and I was watching this. And,
Oh, this happened at the nail salon?
At the nail salon. This happened
Not at home.
No, this happened at a nail salon. So the time stood still so much so that at one point the nail tech said to me, and what color nail polish would you want? And I'm thinking, I've been sitting here in this chair for hours, if not days.
Wow.
Yet really in reality, it had to have only been
just a snap of a finger.
5-10 minutes or something. But I was not even like with all of these experiences, it's kind of like I'm in such a state of awe that I don't think to ask the person next to me, are you seeing what I'm seeing? And luckily with some of the other experiences that I have had a witness with me that said, Marni, you did see this. I saw it too.
Wow.
So,
okay, wait a minute. Whoa, that's wild. So multiple people saw it. So I'm just out of a child like
electronics, not with
I understand that,
but with other experiences.
I understand this. So I'm just here with childlike wonder. I'm always just so fascinated and open to this. And if you're listening to this, you're like, wow, look at it from a different perspective. Look at it from love and light and from heart-centered communication. A lot of people want to prejudge this, but however, if you are listening to this show right now, there might be a reason, because it may be that you're turning the corner and opening your eyes and opening your heart and opening your mind to what's really out there. So I'm excited to continue this conversation. That just blows my mind that other people saw it. So you had multiple STEs. So what is another one that happened that there was a witness?
Well, there was my brother's wonderful dog, Australian Shepherd, had
Love those
passed.
dogs. I had
I
an
love those.
Australian
I
Shepherd.
know.
They're the nicest dogs.
I'm Aunt Marni to a number of Australian Shepherds that are in heaven as well. And,
Wow.
One of the dogs had passed away, and I was very close with that dog. And, it's very sad to lose like almost a member of your family. And the next morning, after I had learned of this dog's passing, there were a number of feathers on my car early in the morning that were very uniquely colored. Like, if you know Aussies, they have unique coloring.
Yes.
And I thought, I have never seen a bird with these kind of colored feathers. But the feeling I got when I saw the feathers, the immediate feeling was that this dog was reaching out to me to say, I love you, Aunt Marni. Thank you for all the toys and the bones and for being such, so wonderful to me. That is the feeling that I got. And, a very close friend, Rick, was right with me, and he saw the feathers. He's seen the dog. He knows that it's very unique. And the two of us later on that day, we collected the feathers. We looked up in the Chicago, Midwest, Illinois area. Are there any birds with these feathers? Colors? Yeah. And there weren't. There's nothing that we could look up and say, hey, these are some feathers that were from like a common bird in the Midwest, and there wasn't at all. Yet those colored feathers were exactly the coloring of this dog. And wow. It was coupled with the feeling that I got immediately that it was the dog reaching out to me. Now, I'm someone who really needs proof. I grew up atheist. I did not have a foundation in religion or spirituality. Slowly found religion, organized religion as an adult, but, definitely still was a questioning person. But I feel that, with this, my life being turned upside down, losing all safety and security that I had actually kind of taken for granted, I believe, for most of my life. All of that was kind of shattered. My American dream was shattered. And, I really could go one way or the other. And I just was really trying to make sense of what happened to me. And I think that these traumas kind of opened me up to getting signs and synchronicities that, I was not alone, that, this is my journey and I'm supposed to experience these tremendous losses in order to grow and self-actualize. And, you're all about taking action with your amazing best-selling book, but in your podcast, but just, all the guests that you talk with, they are people that have taken whatever they have been given, but they take action on whatever they've gone through. And I took action on this after I did a lot of research on spirituality and that. And I wrote my award-winning book, God Came to My Garage Sale. And so I found that writing to be very healing, but it also helped me really go back and think about these experiences that I had and reflect on my life and kind of put it together in a story. Even though it's a spiritual fiction, it's all inspired by true events. And later on, after I retired from my career as a teacher in the Chicago suburbs, 3 years ago, I moved to the Caribbean, where I found writing to be extremely healing. So when I was putting the pieces of my life together, trying to figure out, why do bad things happen to good people? And, how am I still filled with love and happiness, even though I've been through such devastation? But I took action and I moved closer to nature. And I moved, in the Caribbean. I'm just immersed with just the beauty and wonder of this earth. But I also found that writing really helped me work through things. And within a very short period of time, I came out with a 5-book series called True Deceit False Love, which is, about family trauma and abuse and parental alienation, all of these very heavy, very negative topics. But I have a very positive spin on it. And that was very healing for me. And I actually used a very creative way to address a very tough topic. But those action steps have moved me, closer and closer to peace and happiness.
Wow. Now, it's an amazing experience that you've had. And how do you, so we all have challenges in our life. Everybody does. And, sometimes they're incredibly difficult and life-altering and life-changing and very transformative to the bottom of your core and your soul and your being. How do you think with these STEs that you were able to respond to your challenge with love and honesty and compassion? What brought you there? Was it the calm? Was it the peace? Was it a feeling of overwhelm of like, I'm going to be okay?
I think it's all of the above. And I think that ever since my own childhood, I've been wired to handle adversity just in a positive way, realizing that I will get through this and I will rise above it. It seems I can go back into just my early memories, but then also all through junior high when we have relationship issues and high school challenges. And, I just have always handled them with the lens of the glass is half full. And I will get through this and I will learn through it and I'll be a better person because of it. So I think that I'm already kind of hardwired that way, or maybe part of my survival with my own childhood wounds or traumas or whatever was to just react this way. And now that I've gotten older, I just still believe in the goodness in humanity. Even though I've certainly experienced malevolent individuals that actually set out to harm other people. And then, of course, when you look at the global picture and you see such injustice and negative situations, how can we all kind of survive this? And I think the only way is through a lens of love and goodness and light. And so I think I've kind of been hardwired that way, but it seems to work for me. I don't believe that you should, if you're faced with adversity or negative people or situations, that you should respond at that negative level. I just think that doesn't get anyone anywhere. And you have to realize that, some people that actually set out to harm people, they're very damaged themselves, that they must have gone through such trauma and pain themselves to have to lash out by hurting other people. And, so that's part of my empathetic, compassionate nature. It doesn't mean that I'm going to let my boundary down and welcome these evil forces into my world. No, I can love people from afar or understand them to help make sense of it all. But then I can just choose goodness. And sometimes it means letting go of people and situations because they just are not bringing you joy and happiness and, could bring you to a place of negativity. And I'm not about that. I'm about positivity. And I feel that the spiritual transformative encounters that I had just kind of reinforced what I already believed in.
That's awesome. So can you offer some suggestions, advice, tips on people that are failing or facing really difficult life challenges, and how do they get in a place of love and compassion and heart-centeredness to survive that?
Well, first of all, just to put it out there in the universe that you know you've got adversity and challenges, and you would like to be shown the highest, most positive way to handle this. And I think advice.
That's beautiful. I want to stop you. I just think that's great. Just repeat that one more time. That just landed so beautifully. Just say that one more time again.
I don't know if I can remember what I just said, but I think that, we are all given adversity and challenges in our lives, and it can look very different for so many different people. But I think that you could, first kind of calm yourself and quiet yourself, and before you even do a lot of your own reflection or research, just sort of ask the universe to guide you to having a response that is in the highest good for everyone that's involved. So just kind of put that intention out there that, you don't wish harm or negativity to anyone, and certainly not yourself. So I think that, definitely part of understanding what you've been through is to reflect on it and kind of do your own work. What is your role in this? What makes you to have like weak boundaries, or makes you an overgiver or an extreme empath, or what makes you a target for someone to abuse you? It's important to understand that. And I think sometimes you have to do the deep kind of uncomfortable work of going back to your own family of origin and the dynamics that you've had with other family members or people early in your life, and kind of realize what you might have experienced and how you responded or reacted to that, and realize that, we can only go forward, and you can make changes going forward if you feel that there's a better way to handle it. And I'm someone who really believes in researching, and getting to the bottom of what issues are. And I think listening to podcasts like yours or reading research, I think that helps, give you a lot of tools in your toolbox to be able to approach challenging situations. And so with the deep inner reflection, but also just even asking the universe to guide you, and then doing the work, it does take action on your part, to understand what you've been through, and then decide, how am I going to deal with this newfound knowledge of what I've been dealt with? I have a lot of choices I can make, but I choose to heal and to be positive and to move forward, even though I've suffered significant losses, and I would never wish parental alienation on any wonderful father or wonderful mother. Because it's devastating. It's like, the death of a living child. And
there's a whole nother show about that. Yeah. Parental alienation is very real and very common. And it's really quite traumatic for everyone involved.
And so how could a loving parent be able to carry on and actually find happiness in their life after experiencing that? Well, I have been able to do that. And there are many others that have, because we realize everyone has their own journey, including our children. And maybe this is what we are meant to go through. But for me, knowledge has really helped. And I think writing my books, the True Deceit False Love series, to help people understand and cope with what they've been through poetry, through word search, through a survivor's workbook. All of those things are tangible action steps that people can take to try to work through these kind of traumas.
That's great. Yeah. One of the things that I think is really important is that, in regards to action, when you take action, depending if you go left or you go right, has a significant impact on your life. So the other day I was making my drive, which I do every Friday morning, to my spiritual teacher. And it's very important for me to go. It's very difficult to go. She really just, it's not always a pleasant experience. And I was excited to go. And I was driving 40 miles an hour on the surface street before I got to the freeway. And there was a big food delivery truck. It was a large truck. and it was turning left. And it just was sitting there, and all these cars were going by. And as I got closer and closer, all of a sudden, this driver decided that he really wanted to get into the gas station to get his morning coffee and cut right in front of me.
Oh, no.
It happens. It was so close. I couldn't even react. My car reacted before I reacted.
Wow.
I have automatic braking, and all of a sudden it was amazing because everything slowed down. And my car slammed on the brakes, and everything in the car went flying. There was some, I had some snack on the chair or on the seat, and some other pieces of mail that I had, and it all went flying. I didn't hit it. I would have. It would have been really bad. The one thing I thought was like, I wear glasses, and I really don't want this airbag to deploy in my face. That just wasn't going to be a fun day. And I really wanted to get. So I kind of just wrote it out. And immediately I was like, oh, I'm making a U-turn. I'm going to go talk to this driver. I'm really ticked off because I almost got in a car accident. And then in a millionth of a second, I was like, I'm not making a U-turn. I'm not going to go engage this driver. It's not going to be any benefit in my life. I'm going to bless him with love and light. He already feels bad. I'm sure it scared the crap out of him. I know that the passenger who I almost hit was definitely scared. And that's a conversation between them. But I don't need to interact with that. I don't need that in my life. And I just moseyed along. And it was amazing because we make decisions in life when trauma happens, whether to go left or to go right, whether to embrace it and just like, this happened, and look at the love and look at what really happened was nothing really happened. I got startled. He got startled. It was close. Few people that were behind me probably had some coffee on themselves because it was a chain. There was a lot of people driving. I didn't get rear-ended, which was wonderful. In all intents and purposes, what happened? Really nothing. And I could have turned that into something, and I chose not to.
Right, and we all have that. We all have the choice on how to respond to things.
Right, and I just chose love and light. I blessed him with. I even said, "I bless you with love and light." That's all I did. I felt great, and that's the wonderful thing is that when you realize, like in the grand scheme of things, nothing happened. Like, people get mad at people in traffic. You almost hit me, right? And we didn't collide. It was everybody always feels bad. It just needs to move on. And so my day was great. I went and saw my coach, and we had this great conversation, had a great epiphany in there, just really incredible experience. And I had an intention of getting there. And that was my intention in the morning, not to be stopped by anything. And it was funny because driving on the freeway, there was a couple other near misses around me, but not. It was just very interesting. I was driving kind of on autopilot. The universe just kind of had me in my own little space, and I was in my own little bliss bubble. And it was quite remarkable how the universe works.
But we have free will as people, and
yes, we do.
You made a choice, and the choice benefited not only you, but countless other people because of the decision that you made to how to respond to what really was a challenging situation, and it could have been even worse.
Yeah, I felt really blessed, and my team really stood behind me. I saved my universal team, stood behind me and gave me lots of information very quickly, like in a matter of milliseconds, that I was able to run through all of those distinctions of like, and I'm like, love and light, bless you. It's all good. Don't need to engage with you. It's not necessary.
Right. And it's important that we acknowledge, what we have been through though. Like in my case, I have to acknowledge the losses that I have. And I have to acknowledge that I have been a victim at the hands of malevolent others. But I choose not to stay in victimhood.
Good.
I choose to rise above that and, survive it, but also just thrive. And, knowing that my words and my actions have already made a difference in a number of people's lives because, my readers have let me know that, they appreciate getting some guidance on how to handle some challenging situations.
I love it. I love it. Well, I am so glad that we had a chance to have a conversation today. If you want to reach Dr. Marni Hill Foderaro, you can reach her at godcametomygaragesale.com. You can learn all about her, have further discussions, and she's a super cool lady and a beautiful soul. And thank you so much for being here today.
Well, Rob, thank you so much. And thank you for having such an amazing platform with the topics that you have. You're making a big difference in the world. And so thank you for what you do.
My pleasure. And thank you so much for your support and taking time out of your busy and precious day to listen. I so appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me, along with my very special guests, to touch your heart, move your soul, and inspire you to live a life of transformation. I'm Rob Actis. Until next time.
This is Life Transformation Radio. Download complete.